Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo and his close ally, former Youth Minister Charles Blé have been set free after several years in detention over crimes allegedly committed against humanity during the 2010 post-election violence in Ivory Coast. They have been set free after they were acquitted by the International Criminal Court. And back home, the Minister of Communication of the Republic of Cameroon, Emmanuel Sadi, maintains that no live ammunitions were used during the repression of the protest move organized by the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM political party in some towns of the country, and he maintained that the government of the country will punish those who are found guilty of the charges leveled against them accordingly. He was speaking to Radio France International. Those were top stories. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. The two journalists of Le Jour newspaper who were arrested alongside some militants and leaders of the CRM, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, at Albert Zongang's residence in the country's economic capital, Douala, have been set free. They have been in detention for over 4 days, and of course they were set free today after pressure mounted by national and international press organs who have been reporting on the issue and decrying the violation of the right of expression, or the expression being violated by authorities as far as the incarceration of these two journalists, David Eyenge and Theodore Chopper, is concerned, and they have now been set free. The National Trade Union of Journalists decried the violation of the rights of the press and called for their immediate liberation. Theodore Chopper and David Eyenge of Le Jour newspaper have thus been set free. And the Minister of Communication of Cameroon, Emmanuel Sadi, told Radio France International that the two journalists were arrested because they were taking part in the protest organized, or the resistance organized by some militants of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement during the arrest of some leaders at Albert Zongang's residence. And he also said that no live ammunitions, he emphasized on this point, that no live ammunitions were used during the repression of the protest move organized by the CRM political party, indicating that those who are found guilty of the charges leveled against them will be punished accordingly. Innocent.
Following the arrest and detention of Professor Maurice Kamto, including other militants and supporters of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party, after the peaceful protest march January 26, 2019 in Douala and other towns in Cameroon, Communication Minister Emmanuel Sadi, responding to questions on Radio France International, confirms government took its responsibility against persons who dared to destabilize the nation.
On ne saurait parler d'un durcissement volontaire des autorités camerounaises.
He added that these supporters and sympathizers of Kamto's party attacked and ransacked the Cameroon embassies in Europe, reasons why the CRM leader has been charged with incitement of violence and insurrection.
C'était témoin d'une violence inouïe perpétrée par des militants du MRC.
About the accusations, Professor Maurice Kamto refused ever sending persons to attack and ransack the Cameroon embassies, notably in Paris and Berlin. But Minister Emmanuel Sadi ignores this refusal.
Je pense que les faits sont clairs. On a vu dans nos ambassades des militants brandir des fusils.
He says militants and supporters were seen brandishing effigies of Professor Maurice Kamto at the Cameroon embassies, and this proof cannot be denied by Kamto or his lawyers.
Croix de mauvaise foi que de dire que ce ne sont pas les militants du MRC qui ont mis à sac nos ambassades à l'étranger.
Talking about firing of shots during the peaceful protest of the CRM January 26, the communication boss remains adamant no live bullet was used against protesters.
Les balles utilisées pendant ces manifestations étaient des balles non létales.
He says the bullets used were those that do not kill.
Il n'y a pas eu usage de balles réelles contre les manifestants.
The two journalists of Le Jour newspaper, David Eyengezima and Theodore Chopper, arrested at the residence of Albert Nzongang in Douala, Monday, January 28. According to Minister Rene Manuel Sadzi, are citizens who participated in the CRM manifestation.
Ce sont des citoyens qui ont participé à des manifestations non autorisées.
While the week elapses, government's position maintains. Communication Minister Rene Emmanuel Sadzi says the CRM promoted violence and caused destructions, whereas human rights groups believe the protesters of the CRM were simply exercising their right to protest peacefully.
Innocent Aze reporting there, and the Minister of Communication saying that David Iyenge and Theodore Chopper, journalists of Le Jour newspaper, were arrested in the as citizens who were taking part in the protests of CRA militants, even though they were there to do the job of journalists. They have, however, been set free, and 13 militants of the Cameroon Renaissance movement were in court today in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. These militants were transferred from the Yaoundé Central Prison, or the Yaoundé Central Police Station number 1, to the Kondingi Maximum Security Prison. They were in court today, and the case has been adjourned to the 15th of March 2019. They will remain in detention while the leaders, Professor Maurice Kamto, David Penda Ekoka, as well as Albert Nzongang and others who were arrested, including other militants, equally remain in detention, as the government maintains that those who are found guilty of the charges leveled against them will be punished. It should be recalled that Professor Maurice Kamto has been charged with terrorism, violence, among other charges leveled against the national president of the CRM political party, who came second in the October 7, 2018 presidential election in Cameroon, and has continued clamoring for what he calls his stolen victory. Now on to something else. Some civil society organizations in the Republic of Cameroon are expressing fears that Cameroon's cultural and ethnic diversity is at the verge of becoming the killer poison of the Cameroonian nation, and the opinion is justified with the increased flow of hate speech and tribalistic expressions, notably in the media. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
The rich cultural and ethnic diversity of Cameroon, prided as well by most Cameroonians, is at the verge of becoming a problem to the unity and stability of the nation. This is evident in the increased circulation of hate and tribalistic messages on social media. As main internet users, youths have been challenged to be peace ambassadors even on social media. One of such calls is that of Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, WILF Cameroon. According to its president, Sylvie Jacqueline Dongmo, Cameroonian youths should be those capable of taking initiatives for the good and progress of the country.
C'est que ces jeunes qui passent beaucoup de temps sur les réseaux sociaux utilisent cet espace pour promouvoir la paix, pour promouvoir la cohésion sociale, pour éduquer à la paix.
WILF Cameroon wants youth on social media to spread messages of love and living together. Besides being called to be peace ambassadors on social media, youths have also been challenged to take up their civic responsibility with special focus on the electoral process, which begins with registration on the electoral list and the choice of leader on voting day. The message of Will Cameroon to youth is that a leader is that person that encourages others to act even with what he or she does.
Le leader n'est pas là pour donner des ordres. Le leader est celui-là qui sert d'exemple, qui est un modèle. Il ne demande pas à le faire, mais il le fait et montre aux autres comment ça doit être.
The current socio-political situation of Cameroon, how to promote the brief of young leaders, was the focus of a seminar organized by Women's International League for Peace and Freedom in Yaoundé.
That is for me, Armstrong Sander, reporting there on fears of the cultural diversity of Cameroon becoming a poison that will disintegrate the nation. And public authorities have continued emphasizing and saying it clearly that Cameroon is one and indivisible, and the public authorities have been struggling as much as they can to restore peace, stability and unity in the country at a time when the country is seriously threatened by the socio-political and security crisis rocking the northwest and the southwest regions of the country, and the crisis has continued deepening, inflicting severe pains, sorrow and torture on the inhabitants of the two Anglophone regions of the country, the northwest and the southwest regions, where kidnappings have continued taking place in that part of the country, killings as well as destruction of properties, with several villages that have simply been deserted and thousands, hundreds of thousands of persons internally and externally displaced, many of them living in precarious conditions in parts of the littoral, the west, the center and other parts, other regions of the country, and some living now as refugees in neighboring Nigeria. And within the context of the rising insecurity in the southwest region, notably in the town of Kumba, the Meme senior division officers banned the transportation of more than one persons or passengers on commercial and private motorbikes. It is strictly forbidden to carry more than one person now in the town of Kumba, both commercial and private motorcycles. And this, the senior division officer of the Meme division, Tundong Chamberlain, indicates that it is intended to beef up security, or better still, to downplay the security threats rising in that part of the southwest region of the country. Now we talk about efforts by Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea to step up regional or sub-regional integration by enhancing the movement of persons and properties or goods between the two countries, the two neighboring Central African countries. Ministers and representatives of both countries were meeting here in the economic capital Douala to discuss on a project on the construction of a bridge that will link Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea. The bridge that will run from Campo in Cameroon to Bata in Equatorial Guinea is expected to boost the movement, or better still, ease the movement of persons from Cameroon to Equatorial Guinea and from Equatorial Guinea to Cameroon. And this project is still in the pipeline. The authorities will be meeting subsequently to decide on where the bridge will be constructed, notably with regards to the geographic location of the border, the geographic situation of the borders between Equatorial Guinea and Cameroon, and of course the development drive that is being implemented by both Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea in the localities where the bridge will be constructed, linking Equatorial Guinea and the Republic of Cameroon. Now here's an extract of the minister delegate at the Ministry of Economy and Regional Development of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Tasson. Take a listen. We'll be coming back to that extract in subsequent news editions. Now we're going to talk about an issue concerning a week-old baby that has been abandoned at a hairdressing salon in Bepanda. It is in the Douala 5 municipality. According to reports, the mother of the baby said she was going to transfer credit to buy credit and never return, and the baby was abandoned at that hairdressing salon here in the economic capital of the Republic of Cameroon. Manjikan Gebre has more.
Double Ball neighborhood in Bepanda, Friday. A 2-week-old baby girl was abandoned at a hairdressing salon by her mother. According to these clients who saw how the incident occurred, the mother of the baby entered and asked if the owner of the hairdressing salon was available, but I turned and answered that she is not around since she was also a nursing mother. Then the woman dropped her child on the bed and left. It was about 7 p.m. Thursday that the baby was abandoned alongside this bag, and she was taken to the Gendarmerie Brigade of Bepanda. According to this other woman,
yesterday I came back for work for around.
She returned home after work on Thursday, and her neighbor called informing her that she is now a mother with a child. As I carried the child, tears dropped down my cheeks.
He asked me, say, his child will come abandoned to their salon. I say, do you know baby? So he said, yes. I carry now the baby. I start for cry.
After a series of questioning, the officials of the Bepanda Gendarmerie Brigade handed the child to this woman who went home and gave her a rub down. Asked if she will take care of the child if given, the woman said,
for the picking, if he dash me, I go like complaints.
The abandoned child will now have to go through the social affairs department of the 7th district police station before she could be handed over to those who picked her up to take care of her. For now, the whereabouts of her mother is still unknown as gendarmes continue to investigate.
Former Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo and his close ally, former Youth Minister Charles Blé have been set free, and after they were both declared acquitted of crimes against humanity by the International Criminal Court, the two leaders have finally been granted freedom, but on conditions. One of the conditions is that they will not return to their home country, Ivory Coast, for now. The court said Laurent Gbagbo could go to Belgium because he has a family, his wife and children living there, but Charles Blé has to look for a destination out of or away from his home country, and they have been set free after several years in detention over charges of crimes against humanity allegedly committed during the 2010 post-election violence in Ivory Coast. Charles Blé and Laurent Gbagbo are thus free. Millions of persons have been displaced by inter-ethnic violence in Ethiopia, and the European Union is now stepping up help or aid to the displaced persons as a result of the inter-ethnic conflicts going on in Ethiopia. Courtesy Euronews.
Reforms adopted by Ethiopia's new Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed have shaken up the country politically and economically, which has led also to inter-ethnic violence flaring up. Today, almost 3 million people have been internally displaced. 2/3 of them have fled the conflict, the others drought and floods. Nearly 8 million people are in need of emergency food assistance. Koloji is the biggest camp for internally displaced people in the Somali regional state in the east of Ethiopia. The camp hosts 80,000 people, mostly from the Somali ethnic community and from the nearby Ethiopian Oromia region. New families arrive nearly every day, but many of them have been here for over 1 year.
I came here 1 year and 3 months ago. I had 2 shops in Oromia. I was selling food and clothes. When we came here, we started living in a little hut. We are suffering a lot.
Water and sanitation are among the most urgent needs in the camp. The United Nations agency IOM, financed by the EU humanitarian aid, has built latrines and showers and is working on hygiene awareness.
We have trained 16 hygiene promoters. We selected from the IDP themselves. Each hygiene promoter will train 30 women. They teach the prevention, and after they finish this session, they will follow up the women's house to house.
I have learned to wash my hands properly, especially before I cook. I have learned to wash the dishes, eat while the food is still hot, and then cover the leftovers.
These basic rules can save lives. Each week, IOM operators go door to door to check how the training is being put into practice. Uba showed us how she has started separating drinkable from non-drinkable water in the 2 jerrycans she was given. The European Commissioner for Humanitarian Aid visited Koloji camp last December. Christos Stylianides has announced 89 million euros in humanitarian support for 2018 to 2019.
Hey, good to see you. Thank you for receiving me. We have to focus on specific projects. We insist on this catch and voucher scheme because for us is the most efficient way to make these people self-reliant and to give them dignity in these very difficult circumstances. Ethiopia is a very profound political change, and the European Union is here to support this big reform in this stable island of this region.
There are 600 sites for internally displaced people in Ethiopia. Most of them are not camps. We traveled to the village of Dedere in the Oromia region, where 8,000 displaced people are living, either mixed with the local population or in administration buildings that have been emptied for use in response to the emergency. IOM operators collect data from each site every 2 months to update information on the number of IDPs and their needs using the latest technology. In this administration hall, 200 families were settled over 1.5 years ago.
Our number is increasing. 150 children were born here. Look at where we are sleeping. It's a cement floor. We have no clothes. Our needs are increasing, but what we are receiving is very limited.
Finding out the number of internally displaced people as well as their ages, movements and living conditions is a major job. IOM has deployed a network of operators to collect data which is then entered into the so-called displacement tracking matrix.
The database contains information about the basic needs of the displaced population, which makes it easier to coordinate the intervention of NGOs and UN agencies, as well as the government. This translates into providing aid more efficiently.
The government is cooperating with international agencies who are nevertheless asking for an independent assessment of the needs in sensitive areas and to avoid people being pressured into returning to unsafe zones.
Now in sports, after the failed kickoff of the 2019 sporting season in the Republic of Cameroon last weekend, some football clubs in the country's economic capital, Douala, are now fine-tuning their strategies ahead of the official kickoff of the 2019 Football or League One Football Championship built for this weekend. And Suman Jikan Gabriel has been closely following up the training sessions conditions of some clubs in Douala in that report.
Defending champions Cotton Sport of Garoua will be the hard nut to crack for Avion FC of Nkam, who recently gained promotion into the Elite One Championship this football season. The Douala-based club that has been preparing for the upcoming season will have to work hard to overpower Cotton Sport of Garoua. Avion FC of Nkam emerged as the champions of the Elite Two Championship last football season and are hoping to obtain good results in their first outing. A player of Avion FC of Nkam tells us they are morally upbeat to start the league.
Pour le moment, l'état d'esprit est bon.
Everyone is physically okay and prepared to discover the Elite One Championship. We are expecting to give our best to those who will come to watch our game.
Dimanche, nous serons vraiment au top pour produire un bon spectacle à ceux-là qui vont se déplacer pour venir regarder le match.
Another Douala outfit, New Stars, recently eliminated from the CAF Confederations Cup, is very set, as Nelson Joel, a midfielder, tells us.
Enfin une bonne nouvelle.
A good news, since we were eliminated from the CAF Confederations Cup, we have been waiting for the start of the championship. New Stars head coach Mbimi Gerard says errors won't be tolerated this year.
For New Stars,
we missed out on our goals last football season. We are going to engage in the championship this year very seriously. New Stars will host Colombe of Sang-Milima in their day one encounter. Union Sportif of Douala, that missed out on its objectives of clinching the championship and qualifying for CAF competitions last season, is also working very hard to achieve those objectives this year. Len Samuel, team captain, says, we have been working in a very serene atmosphere and we are hoping to confront our opponents, Tonné Calara Club, that is a no-nonsense team.
La saison passée, j'ai inscrit 13 buts, donc je dois passer à plus de 13 buts.
Meanwhile, Union's head coach tells us, for more than a week, the children were already set in all aspects. If Avion, Union and New Stars have been training, the whereabouts of the other Douala outfit, Astro Football Club, is not known. The opening League One game sees Aiding Football Club of Yaoundé challenging Young Sports Academy of Bamenda.
And that's it for this edition of the news on Equinox Television. Thanks, dear televiewers, for staying with us. Good night.